Hey, what's up guys, Connor Comics here. Now today we're looking at my updated collection. Since then it has expanded a bit. As you can see, most of the shelves are full. But yeah, we're going to start out with this shelf up top. So here in the corner we have all of my Harley Quinn books. Wonder, can I lean it? Ah, bloody genius. Right, so it has in the corner here Harley Quinn Night and Day, Harley Quinn Vengeance Unlimited. Then we get into the new 52, which is Harley Quinn Hot in the City, Harley Quinn Power Outage, Harley Quinn Kiss Kiss Bang Stab, Harley Quinn A Call to Arms, Harley Quinn the Joker Last Laugh, Harley Quinn Black, what's that? Sorry, there's Reflection. So black, white and red all over. And then we have some sort of tie-in issues that fill in issues throughout the series. So we have Harley Quinn and her gangs of Harleys and Harley Quinn and Power Girl. Now these two I read, but that one's like the second issue and that one's the second volume and the fourth volume. So I'm sort of coming in and out of a story that I don't fully understand. Most of the new 52 stuff is pretty damn good. I haven't read the two Rebirth volumes, which is Die Laughing and Joker Loves Harley. Then we get into the Suicide Squad. Most of these books I haven't read because most of these are my sister's collection. So up until about here is when like my stuff comes in. But yeah, we have Suicide Squad, Kicked in the Teeth, Berserker Rising, Death is for Suckers, Disciplined and Punished, and Walled In. And then it continues on to Pure Insanity, Monsters and Freedom. And then we have Supergirl, Who is Superwoman, Friends and Fugitives, and Bizarro Girl. And then we get into the new 52 Supergirl. Sorry, there's really bad reflection. Last Daughter of Krypton, Girl in the World, Sanctuary, Out of the Past, and Daughter of Krypton. And then it goes into Reign of the Cyborg Superman. Now in this, if you've read the Supergirl TV show, it comes into things like that, where you do have like her sister coming into it and their organization. I can't think what the organization is called off the top of my head. But then we get into the good stuff. Now I'm tempted to get this in hardcover because this is class. But we have Superman, Son of Superman, Superman Trial of Superboy. And then we get into Action Comics. These two series running alongside is some of the best Superman books that I've read, other than another book that I have down there. I always struggled into getting into Superman, just because I felt he was too overpowered. Now another story, I know in that it shows his power, but also the way it's written into the story, he doesn't feel as OP. But yeah, this book was great. It's Path of Doom. It basically shows it from the storyline of him taking on Doom as well, but Lois Lane reacting to him taking on Doomsday, remembering the last time that they took on Doomsday. And then these next two I haven't read yet, but I will get round to it. So the first one is Welcome to the Planet, and then after that, oh, come on, Men of Steel. So yeah, if you do want to get into Superman, those are my recommendations. The new 52 run, trash, don't touch it. Then we get into Wonder Woman Blood, Wonder Woman The Lies, and Wonder Woman Year One. If I remember, Wonder Woman Year One is class, and then The Lies is okay, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so this goes into her origin. I really enjoyed that book. The Lies, I didn't really... The way that was done at the time, let's say, would be episode 1 would be the issue 1 would be The Lies, and then issue 2 would be Year 1, and switch in between them. So for example, The Lies is, where is this? Where are the issues? Okay, it doesn't want to tell me the issues. Grand, cool. Then we have Wonder Woman, Who is Wonder Woman? These are Wonder Woman Year 1 by Grant Morrison. I didn't really enjoy this. If you want like a Year 1 story, go with the one by Rucka. And then we have Wonder Woman Greatest Battles. We then have Why the Last Man. We then get into Inhumans. So we have All New Inhumans Volume 1 and 2. Uncanny Inhumans Volume 1 and 2. Miss Marvel, All New Wolverine 1 and 2. And Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. These 2 books were decent. I enjoyed them. I've heard a lot of people love them with a passion. I just thought they were okay. But yeah, it's a solid run. And Squirrel Girl, a friend gave it to me, I haven't read it. Then we come over to this shelf. So yeah, on this shelf, as you can see, we have the Berserk. This is actually such a beautiful hardcover. Like, it has this leather look to it. And then it also has the ribbon. But yeah, it's a really cool leather design. Like, that's the back, sorry. And that's the front. And then the red is just beautiful, like it's almost embossed into the book. Have not read that yet, but I will get round to it. Then we get on to The Boys, since I enjoyed the Amazon Prime series, as you really enjoyed it. Read the first issue, and I couldn't quite get into it. I did buy the second one, because I brought the 2 at the same time. It's a series I couldn't quite get into. Like, the TV series is class. The book... Like, I can admire what it was doing at the time because it created the TV show, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. Next up, we have Batman No Man's Land. I got this because the final season of Gotham was based on this book. Then we have Suicide Squad, The Black Vault and Going Insane. That continues on from the Suicide Squad run over there. Haven't read those issues, just had them. Then we get Deus Ex Universe. We then get a few Assassin's Creed books, so we then have Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty comics are fun. They're good to hold you over if you're waiting for the latest season, which I am at the moment. Then have a few Doctor Who books, so we have Doctor Who. This was an event book with all the different Doctors, so you have the likes of Christopher Eccleston, David Tennant, Matt Smith, and Peter Capaldi. I thought it was an interesting run. It wasn't really the characters coming together, it was more separate stories, but they came together in the end sort of thing. We then have The Revolution of Terror and The Weeping Angels of Mon. I preferred The Weeping Angels of Mon. Had The Weeping Angels, obviously. The first one I thought was good, like had the same sort of tone, but it felt like more of filler episodes was the best way to put it. I believe I said in my review. I may do an update review of that. Then we have Walking Dead, Here's Negan. I thought it was a good way to sort of flesh out his character and give him, like, I know they do flesh him out in the book, but it sort of shows his story. It's a bit of a tragic story, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, I quite enjoyed that. I'm pretty behind on Walking Dead, like I just know of Negan from the TV show. I got up to about where season 2 of the show would have been, where they're in the prison. Actually, no, I think I might have actually got up to Negan, because there's a bit where Michonne is stuck in a container and getting raped. But yeah, that's Walking Dead for you. Then we have Tokyo Ghost. Haven't read this. Chew, I heard everyone going on about Chew. I thought it was okay. Not really my thing, I don't know. Then we have Outcast. I really enjoyed Outcast. I might upgrade them to the hardcovers. And then we have Witches. If they have a hardcover of this, I will upgrade it. That was such a good, written by Scott Snyder. Doom Patrol, Brick by Brick. Could not get into this. Nah. Lucifer. I got this because of the TV show. Yeah. Preacher 1 to 4. Tried watching the show on Amazon Prime. Couldn't really get into it. But yeah, those are some class, just fucked up reads. Like, then we get into Hellblazer. Now, the first volume I really enjoyed, second one, and then the third volume I got halfway through and I wasn't feeling it. I have been told that it gets better as it goes along, but like, I enjoyed the first volume. Second one I enjoyed parts of it, and the third one, the stories were just a bit meh. I couldn't really, so I was planning to continue because I know Grant Morrison comes in at volume 4. But you know, with Grant Morrison, he's a bloody mixed bag. You can have class stories come out of him, or you can have shite. Next we have Scalped by Jason Aaron. I've heard this gets better as it goes along. I couldn't really get into it from this volume, but I've heard you normally have to wait until the second or third until it starts to get good. But yeah, Scalped by Jason Aaron. Now let's go down to this shelf here. So now on this shelf it's a mixture of Marvel and DC hardbacks, and then it goes into trade paperbacks. So in the corner here we have Avengers No Surrender. This is an event that I've heard is sort of similar to Secret Empire, but does it without all the political shite. Don't know anything about it, but one day I'll get around to reading it. Next, Superman Final Days of Superman. I picked this up and planned to read it, but never sort of got round to it. We then have Superman Reborn. I enjoyed this, it was decent. Then have the Lazarus Contract. I enjoyed this. The Deathstroke issues though, I didn't enjoy. Like the Titans and Teen Titans issues I enjoyed. The Deathstroke prelogue at the end, I wasn't enjoying it. We then get into Injustice Gods Among Us. That's Year 1, Volume 1 and 2. Then we get into Year 2. And then finally Year 3, which was the introduction of magic. We then have Justice League versus Suicide Squad. I thought this was decent. Nothing spectacular, just decent. I then have this. Whoever wrote this does not have a clue what they're talking about. Believe the hype, Grant Morrison went and wrote the single best issue of Superman these eyes have ever read. I read all issues, they were all terrible. Like, there wasn't a single issue that I read and went, oh yeah, best issue. Nope. Talking out their absolute arse. We then have Secret Invasion. Now, this was a book I thought was okay, like the premise really interests me, but I couldn't quite get into it. Then we get into Daredevil by Frank Miller, 1, 2, and 3. If you want to get into Daredevil, here's probably a good way to start if you don't mind reading older stories. We then have Man Without Fear. If you've read if you've watched season 1 of Daredevil, it's similar to that in many ways. Like, it has the black suit, it has him versus Kingpin. I thought this is a good way to get in if you just want a single, all-in-one, just graphic novel, because that's what it is at the end of the day. Then we have Spider-Man Deadpool. Isn't it bromantic? I enjoyed this, yeah. Spider-Man Deadpool is a bit of fun. We then get into Deadpool series on its own, so Dead Presidents, Soul Hunters, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Here we have Deadpool vs. S.H.I.E.L.D., The Wedding of Deadpool, Deadpool Secret Origins. I think I got to this one, and then I still need to read Axis, so I haven't read that one yet. And then we get into the... Every time I do a haul, I have to mention this. This is like my child series. Like, this was the first graphic novel. This was the first series. I was going to say graphic novel, but a graphic novel is a single story in one book. So, series, yeah, we'll go with that. But we have Superior Spider-Man, My Own Worst Enemy, A Troubled Mind, No Escape, Necessary Evil with Spider-Man 2099, The Superior Venom, and finally Goblin Nation. So yeah, that is that shelf. Now let's move down to the next one. Now the next shelf that we have is my DC shelf. Up here I don't have any room to put this book, and that is Crisis on Infinite Earths, because the CW, I showed this in my latest haul video. But yeah, I couldn't really get into it. I don't know, maybe I'll just have to sit down and make myself read it. Let me put that down there. Then we have, starting here, all my Green Lantern books. Green Lantern is a character that I adore. I do know that CW, I don't know if it's CW or if it's coming to another channel, but they are doing a Green Lantern series. So over here we have the start, and then it goes into the end. I still need to fill in the gaps in the middle. It's just they've gone out of print, so it's a bit harder to do. I may just buy the omnibus, but I'm thinking if I buy the omnibus, the first one would collect most of this, and then the last one, so I'm sort of then getting volume 2 of an omnibus, and then I sort of have to complete it. That's the issue with being a completist. But yeah, we have Green Lantern Rebirth. I thought this was alright, a bit confusing. I think if you are trying to get into, I would go from No Fear. It's a bit of a slow start, but then it gets you in. Then you have Revenge of the Green Lantern. Then after that you have Wanted Hal Jordan. And then you have the Sinestro Corpse War. So I believe after this then it goes into a Red Lantern series, then something Larfleeze, and then Blackest Night and Brightest Day. So I do have just a few more to fill in that gap, and then we get into the New 52, where the rest of the series started from scratch. No, not Jeff Johns. Jeff Johns was finishing his run. So yeah, this is volume 1, Sinestro, I believe. Yep, Sinestro. We then have Revenge of the Black Hand, but this is the stuff that got me into Green Lantern, so I'm not complaining. And then we have The End, which finished off his run. Then we have where it continues with Robert Vendinetti, and this is Dark Days. I still quite enjoyed this, not quite the same as Jeff Johns though. We then have Green Lantern Corps, Fears, and Alpha War. We then have Green Lantern New Guardians. I was getting this, I know in this series eventually he becomes the White Lantern. I thought it was okay. And then we have Red Lanterns, if I can get it out, Blood and Rage. And finally, Green Lantern Rage Planet, which introduced Jessica and... oh, what's his name? It's Jessica Cruz and Simon Baz, that's it. I enjoyed that series, and then we get onto my Flash stuff. So we have Flash by Grant Morrison and Mark Waid, showing off some of his fastest moments. As you can see in this collection video, I have my favourites that I really enjoy, and then I have my ones that I don't quite enjoy, so that's why I haven't spoken about them as much. Then I have, once again, one of my favourite writers taking on The Flash. So The Flash by Jeff Johns, Volume 1, and The Flash by Jeff Johns, Volume 2. We then have The Flash Rebirth, and we have Flashpoint. Flashpoint is a class series. Yeah, then we go on to Flash Move Forward, Flash Rogues Revolution, Flash Guerrilla Warfare, Flash Reverse, and then we go into Justice League. So Justice League Origin, Justice League Journey's End, and Justice League Throne of Atlantis. It's only fitting saying that we were talking about Arrowverse earlier, right after the Flash and Justice League, but I should probably have them together, comes Green Arrow Year 1. If you want a good Green Arrow graphic novel, this would be one that I would suggest. And then if you want a good series, I would go with Rebirth. So you have the likes of The Death of Oliver Queen and The Island of Scars. And then this book, I still need to get round. It's a character that I always enjoyed. It's Arrow the Dark Archer, written by John Barrowman. And I believe his sister, I believe when I was doing a haul at the time, I said it's his wife, but then I forgot, yeah, John Barrowman's gay. So everyone in the comment section gave out to me and was like, what do you mean? It's his sister, you idiot. And I was like, oh, sorry. Next we have Aquaman, The Trench, and Aquaman the Other. I was going to get the next one, but it goes into Throne of Atlantis, and I have most of the Throne of Atlantis stuff in here, so I didn't, but yeah, that is a class series. And then we have Aquaman the Drowned by Abnett. You would know Abnett from his Guardians of the Galaxy run, but yeah, I couldn't quite get into this. And then this, one day I will burn it because it's terrible. It's Superman in the New 52. As you can see, there's sort of a theme because Superman in the New 52 in Action Comics was terrible as well. And then we have the book that I was talking about. This is another class Superman book. This is All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison and art by Frank Quitely. If you haven't read this book, pick it up. It's class. We then have Superman, Batman and Superman. Earth 2, The Gathering. This was a book that I did want to continue because it has the likes of Alan Scott, Jay Garrick, and heroes like that in their own world. Like there's Alan Scott on the back. Watchmen is probably in everyone's collection. Green Arrow, The Longbow Hunters, I thought it was okay. And this one on the end is class. This is Green Arrow by Jeff Lemire. The artwork is good and the story is good. Now, can I get this back in? I don't think I'm going to be able to, so I'll just sit that there as a reminder of how good of a book it is. Now, let's move on to the next shelf. Now, on the next shelf, we have most of my more Marvel books. In the corner here, we have Captain America Winter Soldier, Captain America Red Menace, and Captain America The Death of Captain America. These are class. I did want to continue, but most of them are out of print now. And also the Omnibus are out of print, so I can't even get it that way. Next we have Black Widow, The Finely Woven Thread. I gave that to my sister to read. She never did it, so she got about like 3 pages in. Next we have Venom by Daniel Way. Haven't read that. This series I have though, by Rick Remender. So it goes into Agent Venom. No, I can't get that in, can I? Please. Let me get it in. That's what she said. Yep, and then we have Volume 2, more Agent Venom. And then it continues on with Colin Bunn. And then we have The Amazing Spider-Man Venom Inc. I believe this is where they tried to fix, because there was too many Venom, or they had hybrids in a bunch, so they're trying to bring most of the characters back to their status quo, I believe. We have Captain Marvel. This is Marvel. I thought it was okay. Felt a bit dated. Now this book is class. This is Groot by Jeff Loveness. I spoke about this before. But yeah, if you want a good group book, read that. World War Hulk, Captain America, Amazing Spider-Man, Civil War II. Was I saying Captain America? I was meant to say Civil War and Civil War's Amazing Spider-Man. We have Civil War II, Choosing Sides. This was a tie-in that at the time I thought it was the actual thing. I've made that mistake before. What an idiot. Wolverine, Old Man Logan, another class series, just a standalone book. We then have Old Man Logan, 0 issue, Old Man Logan Volume 1 and 2. Heroes for Hire, haven't read, so can't speak about it. These books, Batman Beyond, I've wanted to get around to it. I tried reading this first one and couldn't really get into it. I will try the next ones. Suicide Squad, haven't read. Suicide Squad Secret Files, Trial by Fire, I couldn't get into. Batman Hush 1 and 2, I have read and thoroughly enjoyed. These two I still have to read, and I haven't read Arkham Asylum, but it is on my to-read list. Now let's move on to the next shelf. Now thank God for you guys, we are back to stationary cam because my tripod can actually reach this height. But yeah, in the corner we have Batman the Killing Joke. Next to that we have Batman Night Terrors. We have All-Star Batman, My Own Worst Enemy, and Ends of the Earth. We have more Jeff Johns books. These I read and quite enjoyed. That's Earth 1 Volume 1 and Earth 1 Volume 2. Then have Batman Earth 1. I had to get it in this sort of hardback style. I thought it was a Marvel hardcover, but apparently it was some turtle, what's it called, like turtleback books, so for school reading. Gets the job done. Next to that we have another one of those styles, which is Batman The Long Halloween. Next we have Batman Dark Knight Returns and Batman The Dark Knight Strikes Again. Still need to read this, but like I always say, the art style is absolutely terrible. So, no. Next, Batman Nightfall. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I just loved the breakdown of the way that Bane broke Batman, the way constantly having villains striking, so that then Batman is just so exhausted, so then Bane just walks into his manor and breaks his back. Spectacular. Next, another one, not many people have this in their collection. It's just a fun couple of short stories, Batman by Brian K. Vaughan. A few short stories including Nightwing, Joker, Wonder Woman, Clayface, Batman, Dr. Freeze, and a few other characters. It's an interesting read. Batman Hush, I decided to get this because I didn't really like the idea of having 2 hardcovers, so most likely I'll get rid of them and keep it like this. Next we have Batman Battle for the Cowl. I believe this continues on from Batman by Grant Morrison, so this is where it is the Robins fighting for the right to be Batman. I probably can't get that back in now. After that, it sort of continues on, which is Batman the Black Mirror, when Dick Grayson then becomes Batman. Next, Batman and Robin Eternal. Have not read that, but it looks pretty good. Next, Robin War. I do know there is like I Am Robin, or We Are Robins before this series, so I have to read that before I go on to this, but it has the Court of Owls, so it should be interesting. All of these you've probably seen in most other people's collections. It's 1 to 10 by Scott Snyder in the New 52. This is in most people's. If this isn't in most people's collection, they're probably not a Batman fan, I'm just saying. Then after that we go on to I Am Gotham and I Am Suicide. After this it goes on to I Am Bane. And then here, I love this series to death. It is Batman Detective Comics Deluxe Edition. That's Volume 1. And then here we have Volume 2 being caught by my charger cable. But yeah, that is that shelf. This is what I like to dub as my Batman shelf. I probably have enough books to make half of another Batman shelf. Yeah, I would say that. Now let's move on to the next couple of shelves. Next shelf, this is all for the pop figure fans. Here I have Rocket Raccoon, Deadpool with a pistol at his side, or more of a machine gun. We have these mini things, so we have a mini Thor Ragnarok Thor, a mini Thor Ragnarok Loki, a mini Bruce Banner that goes perfectly beside his pop figure, which is Bruce Banner, and then you have when he transforms into the Hulk. So I actually, at first I was a bit peed off that I got him, but then when you have him in front of it, it actually works for size comparison wise, which I actually quite like on the shelf. I am going to have to organise these shelves eventually because it's a bit higgledy-piggledy. Next we have Hela from Thor Ragnarok. Actually got that as a birthday present or Christmas present. Next, Poe Dameron. Him bobbling away. Next we have Chewbacca, because who doesn't love Chewbacca? Captain Phasma, who was a birthday present, I believe. We have Darth Vader cowering behind Groot, because why not? Next we have Groot himself. I got this on Free Comic Book Day. I was like one of the first 20 people into Forbidden Planet that day, so I got a free Groot, which was class. And then I got this guy recently. He's one of the fat pop figures of Daredevil. He doesn't really have too much detail, but I still like him nonetheless. And once again, for you pop figure fans, we have another shelf. So, up front we have the pop figure from the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game. If you want, I can do a couple of playthroughs of that if you would like, if you're interested. Focus please. There you go. That's one issue with those sort of figures though, they do fall off their stands. Next one that we have is the one from the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie. pretty cool as well. Once again, he's on his stand, so thank God he didn't jump off. And next, another Spider-Man. I had to thumbtack him down, so otherwise he falls. And that is, I'm going to do a fucking beauty guru thing where you hold up the back so it doesn't focus in the background. But yeah, this is the Iron Spider from the movies. So pretty cool pop figure, I quite like him. Next, we get into the villain. So we have Venom. So who doesn't like Venom? Venom's cool. And then, another favourite if you're a Spider-Man fan, man, Carnage. This figure looks awesome. Pretty dope. Next, we have the big figures in the background here. So this one is where he's cracked the ground. Iron Man. Give his repulsor ready. But yeah, this is an awesome figure. I think it was actually pretty cheap in fairness. I think it was 40-50. And yeah, pretty dope looking figure. And then which came with the collector's edition of talking about the game earlier. The Amazing Spider-Man statue. It may be a bit dusty. I'll probably have to dust the shelf, as you can probably see from the background. But yeah, this is what he looks like. And then the base is made up of a bunch of different characters. So you have the likes of Electro, Scorpion, Rhino, Dr. Octopus, the wings of... what's his name? It's not Falcon. Vulture, that's it. The Electro's pack there. The tail of Scorpio. The head of Rhino. Yeah, just an overall class looking statue. And then a sword. Who's the sword? The sword's probably Deathstroke. But yeah, that is that shelf. Now let's move on to the next couple of shelves. Next shelf that we have, you've probably seen this used in the background of videos. And on this shelf, it is mainly Marvel. Yep, it is actually all Marvel. Never mind. In the corner here, we have the Venom Omnibus. I still haven't gotten around to reading this. But yeah, the Venom Omnibus, because who doesn't like Venom? There you go, lovely cover there of Venom. Next we have All New, All Different Avengers by Mark Waid. I thought it was average, nothing too spectacular. Thought it was okay, like nothing. Next, a class series. We have Jason Aaron's God of Thunder. I know it's wrapped up, but I have read it. My first one got water damage, so I had to buy a new one. And then we have Thor, God of Thunder. And then we have Thor, the female Thor. I'm not going to spoil it just in case you haven't read this series. So of this one, I'm not going to show you the backs, otherwise it spoils it. But yeah, fun little series. I know there's one more volume and then that finishes off the female Thor's run. We then have Astonishing X-Men by Josh Whedon. I was actually annoyed that I didn't get the second volume when I did, so I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it. And now it's out of print, so lucky me. Next we have Uncanny X-Men by Bendis. I enjoyed this run, quite enjoyable. And then Uncanny X-Men Volume 2. Next, Inhumans vs. X-Men. I thought it was meh. These two, I've read the first one, not the second one, but that is the Deadpool minibus. Please go back in. Thanks a million. Next we have Star Wars Darth Vader 1 and 2. It's number 1. As you can see, it's very tightly packed in here. And volume 2. And finally, on the end, we have Avengers vs. X-Men. I got this because this book ties into Uncanny X-Men and All New X-Men. Now, talking of All New X-Men, let's move on to the next shelf. Now, like I said, on to the next shelf, we have All New X-Men 1 to 4 by Bendis. Okay, I can't even take that one out. Next to that, we have All New X-Men by, or I mean just New X-Men by Grant Morrison. We have Uncanny X-Men. And then these all come after each other. So Guardians of the Galaxy by Dan Abnett, like I said when I was talking about the Aquaman book. This has basically like the team in the comics. So you have the likes of Rocket Raccoon, Star-Lord, Groot, and on the back, Drax, Gamora. You have the likes of Adam Warlock. And then it continues on to the event books. I know Annihilation Omnibus, that's being reprinted January or December, I'm not 100% sure, but I will be picking that up. And then that goes on to this book, which is Annihilation Conquest. Next we have the Road to War of Kings, and we have War of Kings. I still need to pick up the Aftermath of War of Kings, but you've probably looked at this shelf before, so I'm not going to dwell too much on it. You've probably looked at it enough in the background of my videos. Now onto my next shelf. Now the next shelf here, I'm going to get the 2 DC books out the way. We have Superman Unchained, which is great by Scott Snyder. Awesome book. That's actually one Superman book in the New 52 that I enjoyed. Next to that, we have Nightwing Rebirth. I might have to get the Grayson Omnibus to best understand that, so I believe in the first issue already there's so many references to that. But now let's get on to the Marvel in the corner. So we have Guardians of the Galaxy 1 to 5 by Bendis. So let's show you some of these. That's the front with a movie cover. Next, normal cover. After that, next, and finally number 5 with Thanos. Then we get Guardians of the Galaxy and X-Men the Black Vortex. I picked this up because this ties in with, like I said, Guardians of the Galaxy and All New X-Men, which, like I said, is over there. Then we have Avengers 1, 2 and 3. New Avengers, I tried to order volume 1 off Amazon and they keep coming back to me and going, oh, once it's in we'll tell you, once it's in we'll tell you. I ordered that back in August. We're now November, so I'm soon going to cancel that if they don't get their act together. Next we have Avengers Time Runs Out, so I can't actually read that because that continues on from this series and this series, and I don't have the start of this series, so I'm sort of stuck. I really do want to read that because I've heard good things about the Hickman run, but I can't because Amazon are being little arseholes. Next we have Invincible Iron Man by Bendis. We then have Moon Knight by Bendis. We then have Moon Knight by Lemire. And then we have Doctor Strange by Jason Aaron. I know there is another volume out that, so I do have to get that. And then after that, then I believe it goes into Donny Cates off the top of my head. Not 100% sure if there's one in between that. We then have Civil War 2. And then that is the end of that shelf. Now let's move on to the shelves down below. And then we have the final 3 shelves. So the one in the corner, we have Batman Unwrapped, Death of the Family. Superman Secret Reign. This is another good Superman book if you want a standalone origin book. Written by Jeff Johns, so you can't go wrong. Then we have the 52 Omnibus. I thought it was okay, like learning about other characters like Booster Gold, The Question was interesting, but I just felt it went on too long. Obviously there is 52 issues in it, so you do feel like you're just constantly reading, and I don't know, like certain stories I wasn't really enjoying. Next we have the Gotham Central Omnibus. I enjoyed most of the stories in here, but once again it felt like it went on for too long. But yeah, the characters were really interesting, like getting to know Montoya a bit more. She's also in this book, so I have gotten to get a bit to know about her. And then also stories following the likes of Mr. Freeze, Penguin, and other characters like that come on out. Next we have another Jeff Johns book, which is Justice League The Dark Side War Saga Omnibus. This is the book that goes into the Anti-Monitor
and Darkseid, and how you have the Mobius chair, the different, so you have the Flash as the Red Death, you have Batman the God of Knowledge, different things like that, which was really interesting. Sorry if this one's a bit shaky, it's a bit low down so my tripod doesn't go this low, so I'm trying to lean it slightly forward with my tripod. We then have the Flash Deluxe Edition Volume 1 to 3 in Rebirth. So that's the first one, which you have the likes of Godspeed. The second one, which goes into the Button storyline. And the third one, which has Bloodwork, which is actually in the latest series of The Flash, which I mentioned in my haul when I showed off that book. Next, we have DC Universe Rebirth, the Deluxe Edition. And like I said earlier, Batman, The Flash, the Button storyline. And the last two books here, we have Swamp Thing by Scott Snyder and Batman by Grant Morrison. Batman by Grant Morrison is class, and Swamp Thing I got to know a bit more because at the time I picked this up so I knew the series was coming out. But yeah, that is that shelf. Now onto the next shelf. We then get onto the next shelf here, which... don't want to knock that. Leave that there. Perfect. So yeah, we have Hellboy Volume 1 and 2. The library editions, these look incredible, like it's a lovely felt design. You may not be able to see it on camera. Let's see what we can do. You can see it's a felt design, embossed writing, and then a picture on the front. And then the back is pretty plain. But yeah, no, it just looks incredible on a shelf. But the issue is they are just that bit larger, so if you do have a book filled with library editions, you're set. If not, it does look a bit odd. Then we get into The Amazing Spider-Man by J. Michael Straczynski. I believe Volume 2 is coming out soon, or it may already be out, I'm not sure. Carnage, which is a bunch of mini-series, so let's say you could have 1 to 12, you can have 1 to 5, 1 to 6, 1 to 10, so a bunch of short series by Carnage. I really enjoyed that. Next you have The Amazing Spider-Man by David Muccicelli and art by Todd McFarlane. I actually really enjoyed this, showing a sort of different sides. We've seen the side of the sort of Superior Spider-Man and Dan Slott run, where he's already sort of left school and going through that, but this is like the struggle of him living with Mary Jane, him still being a photographer. Like, that was the issue that I felt with the Dan Slott run after Superior Spider-Man, since he had his own company and his own degree. It didn't feel like as much of a struggle anymore. Next to that, we have Daredevil by Mark Waid. I've read the first 5 issues of this before I got the Omnibus, then I thought I'll get the Omnibus and get the complete series. Next to that, like I said in my latest hauls, you will notice these 2 books. So we have Star Wars Heroes of the New Hope, which includes Princess Leia, Lando Calrissian, and Chewbacca. We then have Spider-Man Tangled Web. I've had a flick through, I don't know how I feel about the artwork in that. And then on the end we have the continuation of Batman by Grant Morrison Volume 2. I've only read the first 2 issues of that. It's going into Dick Grayson Batman and Damian Wayne Robin, which was really interesting. And finally we get onto the last shelf. Now I know this is probably dragging on at this point, but someone in the comment section asked for it, so I thought, fuck it, let's go for it. Now the final shelf that we have, the best way to put it is they're more street level heroes is the best way to put it. So we have the likes of over here, Daredevil, so we have Daredevil by Stan Lee. We have Daredevil End of Days. Now I know they are coming out with the Bendis omnibuses in 20th of January, I believe. But yeah, this is basically more of a cap off of that series, or like a graphic novel. There's Easter eggs towards it, so I can't wait to get the 2 Bendis omnibuy, should I say, and have a read through of that and see what Easter eggs are hidden in there. Now next, continuing on from the Bendis run would be, oh my god, I'm all over the place, let me fix that, there we go. We then have Daredevil by Brian Michael Bendis, no, not Bendis, by Ed Brubaker, what am I saying? Yes, by Ed Brubaker and art by Lark. That was the same creative team that worked on Gotham Central, so if you're similar to the writing or art style, then you may actually enjoy this series. I really enjoyed it. It continues on where he's in prison and they're trying to figure out who the Daredevil is who's impersonating him outside to keep his identity hidden. You then have the Amazing Spider-Man by Stan Lee. As you can see, it's still in its film, so I haven't opened that. I don't think I will. I think that will just have like a special part in being in its film. We then have Spider-Man Kraven's Last Hunt, Miles Morales The Ultimate Spider-Man, The Superior Foes of Spider-Man, Hawkeye, and The Punisher Omnibus. So yeah, that is the completed collection. Let me adjust this back up. So yeah, as you can see, a good old couple of shelves filled with books. Actually, up there is a cool picture which switches, and then we also have our man Green Arrow up there. But yeah, that is the completed collection. If you do have any more questions, or actually if you're interested while I'm thinking about it, let me just get it out. If you want me to play the Spider-Man game on the PlayStation and do a walkthrough, please tell me down below. I also have Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, and Batman Arkham Knight, and I do have Batman Arkham Origins on my computer, on my laptop, so I could play through that if anyone's interested. But yeah, tell me down below if you would be interested. And that is the end of the updated collection. Peace.